Hi, this is my review of the Bosch tumble dryer, model number WTN85250GB. As you can see, it is a freestanding condenser tumble dryer, which means that you don't have to plumb it in, you don't have to make any holes in the wall for any vents. You just need a plug socket, which is really convenient for me because it means I can have it on the opposite side of my kitchen to my washing machine. It's no trouble at all. However, if you do want to plumb it in with your washing machine, they do supply the appropriate hoses, so you've got everything you need if you do wish to do that. I really like this machine. It's got a really good range of program settings, which I can show you now. Here they are. It's also got a really big drum, so it actually holds up to an 8 kilogram load, but it does depend on which setting you are using as to how much you can put in there. So the manual's really useful for that. So the shirt setting here, for example, is 15-minute setting. Bosch recommend that you only put 5 shirts in there, which is 1 kilogram load. So that gives you an idea of how much you can put in there. But of course, if you're using something like the cotton Cupboard Dry Plus or Cupboard Dry setting, you can actually put up to 8 kilograms in there. So if you're drying something like towels, it can take, you know, a decent sized load. Today I've got a mixed load of washing in my machine. So I've got some of my baby's clothes and some towels in there. Bosch do recommend that if you're drying teeny tiny things such as baby socks, that you do put them in with larger items such as towels. So that's what I've done. I followed their advice today and done that. So I'm going to go ahead and select a mixed load. So you just turn the dial to the setting that you want to put it on, and then you can see over here it displays how much time you've got left remaining on that load, and to set it off you just press the start button. But before I do that, I'm just going to show you a couple of other features. So the first thing I'm going to show you is the delay start. So that's here on this finished in button. You can just press the button and it goes up in 1 hour increments, and it actually tells you the time that you've got remaining until the load finishes rather than starts. So I think that's quite a nice feature because you can organise your time nicely. But I'm not going to put a delay on that today because I want to show you in action. So I'll just turn it off and on again. Another option it's got here is the fine adjust. This is if you do a load and you find that actually your washing isn't quite as dry as you wanted it to be. It's got these 3 different options that you can select for that little bit of extra drying time, and it will actually remember it for that program next time you use it. So I quite like that feature. It's quite clever. You can see that the timer was changing there because it does tell you how long is left on each load. And actually that can change during the drying cycle as well, because there are moisture sensors inside the machine which will detect how wet your washing still is and change the time remaining accordingly, which I think is quite a nice feature. There's also this crease guard option. So if you put that on, and that's particularly good for shirts because it means that for up to 60 minutes after the program has ended, it will actually turn the drum intermittently to ensure that your shirts aren't any more creased than they need to be. And I like that because I don't want to do any more ironing than I need to. And then there's also this low heat option, which does make the cycle a little bit longer because it is using a lower heat. So it means that your washing will take a little bit longer to dry. But it means that if you're drying something like a new t-shirt for the first time, then it will help prevent it from shrinking, which is always a bonus. So I'm going to go ahead and start the cycle now. So I just need to press the start button. And another feature that it's got is a child lock. So you just press these 2 buttons for 3 seconds. And you can see that the child lock is activated. And then if you forget anything, so you realise that you've dropped your sock or something like that, you can just press the child lock button again for 3 seconds, those 2 buttons, to release it, and then you can just pull the door open and then chuck in what you need to, and then just close it and set it off again. Whoops. That is actually the one thing that I've found about this machine. The one downside is I don't find the buttons on the display to be particularly responsive. I think because it is a touch screen rather than, you know, an old-fashioned button system. But actually I think that is just me. It's not the biggest you know, negative. It's just a case of getting used to exactly where to press the screen, and you know, I've only had the machine for a few days so far, so that's just something that I need to get used to, I think, because overall this is a really good machine. Right, I'll just show you those couple of things that you need to do after you finished your drying cycle. Okay, so now that my drying cycle is finished, I'll just show you a couple of the features that you'll need to know about that need to be done after each drying cycle. And the first thing is the condensate unit, which is just in here. This is basically where all the water from your washing goes from a drying cycle. It just collects in here, so after each wash you just need to empty it out down the sink or over the garden. I'll do that later, and I've got 2 hands. And the other thing is the fluff filter, which is just in here. It just lifts out really easily, unclips. You just need to take out, empty the fluff, give it a good rinse, and make sure you put it back in ready for the next drying cycle. You must make sure that's in there, otherwise it can damage the machine. I'll just give you another view of that lovely big drum. So yeah, that concludes my review of this Bosch tumble dryer. As I said, it's a really good machine, so thank you for watching.